Welcome back to episode 59 of the Jiu Jitsu Dummies Podcast, everyone. We're sponsored by Fightback CBD. Get 20% off your CBD order at fightbackcbd.com. I pulled out a t-shirt today for you, Bo. Use code JJD. We're also sponsored by Black Belt Digital Marketing. Anything you need from website design, Google Ads, logos, SEO, anything you need to build your business, they can help. Check them out at bbdigitalmarketing.com.
Excellent.
I'm Milton Campus. What's up, everybody? Brown belt training out of South Florida. You can check me out on Instagram at Uncle Milty BJJ or at Jiu Jitsu Dummies. We got Bo behind the camera. Say hello, Bo.
Hey, Bo No Belt.
Bo No Belt. We're trying to get, maybe today we're going to get you on, I think we're going to get you on the mat. So you told me last episode that I might have to start training, you told me, in the elevator ride down.
I have nothing but jiu-jitsu t-shirts. Somebody's going to ask me to roll and be like, I'm like, I don't know.
Eventually you're going to have to put up.
I only produce shit for jiu-jitsu.
All right, let's bring in today's guest. We have founder of BJJ Globetrotters, Black Belt Christian Graugart. How are you, Christian?
Hi, I'm good, and you?
I'm doing awesome. Did I say your last name correctly? I practice it a lot.
Yeah, it's fine. Don't try.
So I've actually got to thank you. Last night I went to train, and I've been watching. I watched the documentary, and I watched some of your the event, the seminars that you've done around the world. I watched a couple, and I practiced my head above butt for my passing. And I also kind of tightened up my guard a little bit last night, and I was just like, wow. It was like this little small, like, obviously I knew these things, but it was the reminder and the way that you gave the information in the seminar. I brought it into training, and I was just giving everybody a problem, especially with kind of passing my guard, just kind of staying real tight, keeping my elbow to my knee. I had a lot of fun. I came in all giddy today to the studio when I was telling Bo. So thank you for that.
My pleasure.
It's those little things. It's those really little things. So.
Happy to help.
Let's dive right in. Let's do the, kind of the obligatory, how did you get your start in jiu-jitsu, and then we'll go deep.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I did Taekwondo as a kid for like 10, 11 years or something like that. Oh, wow. And when I became a teenager, like I discovered alcohol and girls, and I was a little bit tired of training, and so I took a break, like many people do around that age, and I started to get like really out of shape, like super skinny, and I thought I need to get back into some sort of sports, because I did sports all my life. I played football quite a lot as well, association football, that is. I should call it soccer.
Yes.
So I wanted to do something. I started lifting weights, which was kind of fun, and then it became boring, and I thought I kind of missed doing martial arts, and I stumbled over this advertisement in a supermarket for Jeet Kune Do, which is like Bruce Lee something. So there's a picture of Bruce Lee. I was like, shit, I want to do that stuff. And so I thought, hey, I haven't done martial arts for like 2 years or something, and I really wanted to do some sports again, because I'd been in shape all of my life, and it was kind of weird to suddenly be unathletic. So I went to a trial lesson there, and at the very first class, someone grabbed my head and squeezed it and put his hairy chest in my face, and I couldn't breathe. And I was like, oh my God, this is just amazing.
I'm in love.
Yeah, this is great.
I can't believe you can actually grab people, because I had only been kicking holes in the air for 10 years, my entire life. So I was just completely blown away by the fact that you could grab each other and squeeze,
Yeah.
And it's we've been grabbing and squeezing ever since. It's 22 years ago or something. It never gets boring. So that's pretty much it. And I mean, there was no jiu-jitsu back then whatsoever. And Jeet Kune Do was more like, it's kind of like pretend MMA, like Kung Fu, but with some elements of actual sparring and like boxing and stuff, and wrestling, grappling. And it was really fun, but we didn't know what we were doing. So we heard that there was something like the UFC And I remember very clearly, we sat after training once. We've been training for a few years or something, doing like, it's kind of like self-defense, street fight, silly stuff. And my instructor there, he said, I mean, mind you, this is in 1999 or something, way before jiu-jitsu was like, had even left the US pretty much, or even the UFC was not really heard of back then in Europe that much. Maybe someone had a VHS tape somewhere, but I mean, nobody had actually seen it. I clearly remember he said, he was going to take a course in this Brazilian wrestling style, which was really cool. And as he said, it's like that. Do you remember that monkey guy in Bloodsport who jumped onto people and choked them out? That's it. That's the stuff that he was going to learn and teach us. I was like, I want to do that. That sounds amazing. And then we managed to get our hands on some VHS tapes, or some old Chris Howder tapes. Like I remember it was 6 tapes. We had this big TV we on one of those tables with wheels on that we had to roll into the training hall every day, and plug in the VHS tape and then watch some techniques and try it out. And that was pretty much how we started. Just like 5-6 guys who like to grapple, and then there were no competitions, so we started hosting some competitions. We did just like inter-club competitions because there were no other clubs. Then there were suddenly other clubs, and then we started doing other competitions, and there were no MMA competitions. We thought we have to kind of try this out. So we hosted some MMA competitions, also like inter-club. We just fought each other. And it was back then we were very inspired by like Japanese MMA and shoot fighting, shoot boxing, all this stuff. So we did some inter-club competitions with wearing like I don't know if you know these like boxing helmets with a cage on, like kung fu helmets.
Yeah. I've seen them.
But then we did like with full value to the rules, like headbutts and knees to the head, and like soccer kicks and everything. It was pretty fun. But I mean, we were just desperate to try this stuff out because we've been doing like street fighting for a while, and it's like, okay, well, I guess it's kind of silly because I'm never going to fight anyone in the street. I mean, in Denmark, you're never going to fight anyone unless you really want to. So we thought this is kind of silly, and we would like to try this out, but the sport doesn't exist here, so we kind of had to invent it in a sense. And then ever since, it's just been traveling and doing seminars and doing lots of competitions, and the ball just started rolling, and ultimately I started an academy, my own academy. I kind of broke out from the street fighting Bruce Lee stuff after a while. I mean, because it was like self-defense stuff, and I lost interest, so I wanted to do more sports. So we were a few people who started an academy, and ended up running that full time for 15 years with like 700 members at some point in Copenhagen, Denmark. And so it's just trial and error. Never had an instructor, just kind of competed a lot.
That was going to be my question. You said club, so in the beginning when it was a club, it was really, there was no like head instructor. You guys were just kind of trial and error, learning by rolling with each other?
Yeah, I mean, I had the VHS tapes, so I ran the classes. But apart from that, it was just a lot of like sparring, just competing. Yeah. And then whatever didn't work, we went back to fix it. Yeah, that was pretty much it. So we did that for many, many, many years. And that's it. And here we are, 20-something years later.
So the 700 members, is that BJJ Globetrotters? That's what BJJ Globetrotters became?
No, not at all. That was just my academy in Copenhagen. Okay. We had Thai boxing, jiu-jitsu, MMA, CrossFit, just like a range of martial arts. So that was my club, and it was completely separate from Globetrotters.
Okay. So how does Globetrotters fit into this equation? At what point, go back 20 years, you started, grappling. How is BJJ Globetrotters born?
By complete accident, in a sense. I did this round the world trip 10 years ago, and I came back from that, and we had a competition team, obviously, at the club, and every year we would go to the Europeans in Portugal. So we would bring like 10-15 people there for a week, and we would compete there as like an annual thing. And this year, after I came back, we wanted to register the academy with IBJJF so we could sign up, because I think they just started that rule that you had to be a registered academy or something. I think this was like 2012 or something. So we were trying to register the academy, and we couldn't do it because there was already another academy in the US called CSA, or Combat Sports Academy. So we couldn't pick that name, so we kind of had to quickly come up with a name. And I had just come home from that trip, and I've written the blog, the BJJ Globetrotter, and BJJGlobetrotter.com. The blog is still online, and someone said, "Hey, let's call this year's Euros team BJJ Globetrotters." Like kind of that's the team, because every year we had a name for the team, kind of a fun name or something, And so that year the name was BJJ Globetrotters because I just came back from that trip. And I was like, fine, that's funny. And every year we had like T-shirts or something silly, or like e-patches for the team or something, to kind of like make it a fun little trip for everyone. And I said, let's make a gi patch for the team. We were like 13, 14 people going to the competition, and I drew up this Bus Sunset BJJ Globetrotters patch, and that was fun. It's just for us, just for our little team going. And I posted it on my blog, like I did that travel blog from my around the world trip, and I posted that patch, and I got like a million emails like, hey, where can I get a patch like that? I wanna join in on this. And I was like, oh, I guess I'll print a few more just for the fun of it. And I printed some, and then some people said, hey, I also plan on going to the Europeans, and I can't register my team either, because it's like this new rule, you have to register a team, and it's kind of complicated. And I was like, sure, just sign up with Globetrotters. I mean, whatever, I don't care. We just registered it, and you can, of course, just compete. For us, it's just people I met on my trip. So a bunch of people signed up. They all came down to Portugal. We all competed together. And then the ball just kind of started rolling from there. And suddenly, without wanting to, or had planned to, I had created, I would say, an affiliation as a joke, in a sense, that turned into the biggest affiliation in the world. But it was really just kind of for the fun of it. Oh yeah, sure, let's call it an affiliation. I guess I'm a black belt now. I guess I can make up an affiliation. So why not? So that kind of started like that, and that just became many things. Globetrotters just became the kind of the stamp on many projects. I always like to make things happen and do a lot of projects, and Globetrotters was just a great excuse to make more stuff happen. We had also, when I came back from the trip, I trained in 56 academies around the world. I wrote a book about it. The ebook is online for free if anyone want to read it. I also just recorded it as an audiobook. So I trained in 56 academies anywhere in the world. And everywhere I went, I just told people, yeah, if you want to come visit me in Copenhagen, of course, just come by. I would be happy to host you, show you around, come train for free, whatever. And it kind of backfired, because everyone came to visit me when I came back home. Just like non-stop tour guiding. I was like never-ending stream of people coming to visit in Copenhagen, which was super fun, also exhausting. There was a point where I remember 6 months straight where I had someone visit every single week. So every week I did the same thing. I took them on the same sightseeing. We were training every day. I took them out for dinners, whatever, and gave them the grand tour, because I had some karma to pay back to, some hospitality to pay back to the universe after that trip around the world. And I was just exhausted, just super exhausted. It was super fun, but it was exhausting to be like a full-time tour guide.
And did you have a full-time job at that time? Were you working?
The gym was my job.
The gym was a job. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I was dirt poor, but it was my job. So I could train as much as I wanted. And at this point, I had run the gym for more than 10 years. So, okay. So I just told people who are planning to come, why don't you all come in the same week? That could be kind of fun, because then I will have less work showing people around. And like 25 people from who I met around the world came the same week to visit. And I was like, hey, cool, so many people are coming. Let's invite also some friends I know who can teach maybe some special classes. Or we had some friends like from Sweden who came over to teach. And it just became like a week of training, going out, eating, doing fun things. And I was like, damn, that was super fun. I mean, what's not fun about having 25 friends visit for a week, you know? That was super fun. Let's do that again. And they came back next summer, and then they were 50 people, and the next summer they were 100. And suddenly it's like, hey, let's call this BJJ Globetrotters camps. And that's kind of how it started. So here we are, almost 70 camps later of friends coming to visit.
Wow.
So
cool.
That's how it worked.
That's amazing. Now, how does the documentary in your timeline, the documentary, was that just 2019? That was pre-pandemic, but was that around 2019 or it came out in 2019?
We filmed 2019. He followed us behind the scenes for 1 year, filmed all the camps, and yeah, great timing. It's funny, at some point in the film, I say like, I don't know if we can ever beat this next year. I don't know what we're gonna do. And next year the world is burning. You know, we didn't know, so it was good timing. Yeah, we filmed that 2019, and then we're planning to release it last summer, but obviously nobody could travel anywhere, and we wanted to do a proper like a movie theater premiere event. So we postponed it 1 year, which was torture because we just wanted to show it to people. It was just me and Stevie just working on that forever. But another year of editing made it so much better, and we're very happy. I'm very fascinated by what he managed to do with it, because he was literally just a young guy with a camera who did a few good family holiday videos. And I said, hey, why don't you come with me? Yeah, why don't you come with me for a year and film everything, and then I'll have good video and pictures from all the camps that I can use for like advertisement or whatever. And he was like, sure, and maybe we can put it together and make some kind of film or whatever. I didn't know, but yeah, I put my money on the right horse there. Yeah, good job.
Tell everybody the name of the documentary and where they can find it. I just watched it this week, but I'll let you tell everyone.
The documentary is called The Gentle Art of Travel, and you can just find it on YouTube pretty easily.
So, funny enough, do you know who Brendan McCatherine is from 10th Planet here in the States?
No, sorry.
He was Eddie Bravo, one of Eddie Bravo's first black belts on the East Coast of the United States. Anyway, he says one of his best investments that he's ever made was having somebody film constantly in his gym. He just constantly films classes. He follows him around. So the content, I mean, it's just grown into just a tremendous amount of content, tutorials, behind the scenes. So, yeah, I mean, it's I don't know if you still do that, but yeah, I mean, it's an amazing documentary. I loved it. It made me go take a deeper dive into some of your stuff, and that's where I found the seminar videos. You film every seminar, right? You put them out.
No, I mean the camps usually have like 45 classes.
Okay.
So we have like 1 or 2 cameramen on each camp. Okay. And they film anything from 5 to 20 classes, 25 classes out of them. It also depends. Some of the classes are like repeat classes, so we don't film them twice. But I also don't want the cameraman to sit and film like 10 hours a day, because they would burn out and die, you know. Yeah. So they
God bless.
So they pick a few classes a day, and then we put it up once or twice a week. We put them out.
So let's maybe fast forward a little bit. I don't know how much fast forwarding this is, from the documentary to the issue that you had with IBJJF. And I'm very interested in this because, and I'll explain as we go, but I'm very interested in this because my gym has recently broken its affiliation with Fight Sports. But tell me about how that issue came about and why they wouldn't let BJJ Globetrotters compete anymore.
I'm still not sure, but I can guess. Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, I would say it's not like the end of the world. It's not really, honestly, a big deal whatsoever. But people love the drama, so I mean, back when I registered the team for that Europeans 10 years ago, some of my friends were like, yeah, sure. Can we also compete under Globetrotters? Because we also cannot sign up. It's like a mess, and the Europeans is in a few weeks. And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? I mean, I just registered it. I don't really care. I mean, their results are not my results, win or lose, it doesn't matter. And then I posted that on my blog, and like a bunch of people and academies like say, hey, can we be affiliated to this new affiliation that you made? And I guess like it's an affiliation. Oh, yeah, sure, why not? I don't know, send me your logo, I'll put it on my blog. And then we call this the Globetrotters affiliation. And it kind of grew. And then people contacted me and said like, hey, I'm just traveling. I don't have anywhere to any academy. Can I also be a member? And I would like to compete as well. It's like, yeah, sure, why not? And that list just started growing really fast. And very quickly I realized, damn, this is actually turning into an affiliation of some strange sort. It was not planned. I didn't want it to, but that was what it became. So I said, at least in the beginning, let's set some very strict rules for this, so it doesn't turn into what I have seen other affiliations be, which I think can be extremely unhealthy. So from the very beginning, I kind of wrote down the values of Globetrotters, so to say. Like you can say, like the kind of the, I don't even know how to say it in English, but like in a sense, like the Constitution, in a sense,
okay.
Like this is what this going to be built, get built on, and it can never change, and I can never change it. And if I do, you have to kind of abandon Globetrotters and dissolve it. And they're kind of straightforward. There are no affiliation fees. We'll be happy to promote anyone who deserve it, if they're a member or not. So they don't need a business relationship with someone to get a belt promotion, and people can train wherever they want. Academies are not allowed to tell people that they cannot go to other academies and stuff like that. And obviously the most important of them all is that we agree to treat everyone the same on and off the mats. I would say through traveling and training many places, I'd seen quite many things that I thought was kind of stupid. I mean, people can, in a strict hierarchical sport like jiu-jitsu, based on where relationships are often based off one person wanting something very badly from another person, which is belt promotions, that can quickly maintain some very unhealthy relationships. People can get stuck in some very unhealthy relationships. Even they can be stuck in relationships with someone who are maybe not nice human beings, but they will still hang around because they're like, oh, then this person is going to give me my black belt one day. I better hang out for a little bit longer. And then this black belt is like, oh, I need those 2 degrees so I can also give black belts. Yeah, I know there's been like sexual harassment cases and whatever, but people can hang out in really, really bad, unhealthy relationships because of this stuff. So I thought if this is our chance to randomly do an affiliation as a kind of as a joke, let's at least try to make some rules that makes it that kind of prevents us from ending up there down the road. Mm-hmm. That doesn't put me on a pedestal. That doesn't require people to be stuck in a business relationship in order to feel like they progress in their own career and sometimes even their business. So that's why I wrote down those values for Globetrotters. And I thought you have to follow them if you want to be part of it. And for the academies, they also have to give a week of free training for anyone visiting, and they cannot tell their members they cannot train anywhere else. Otherwise, they will be kicked out, so to say.
So there are actual academies that fly your benefit. Like it might be, let's just say Miami Jiu Jitsu, and the Globetrotters, BJJ Globetrotters is their affiliate, right? They have
whatever they want.
Yeah, I mean they can have that. That's what they could do with you.
The funny thing is that, what is an affiliation? Yeah. Nobody knows. It's just like, it can be whatever you want it to.
Yeah.
For some people, they treat Globetrotters as a very traditional affiliation where they kind of find people to promote them or do seminars or networking or whatever. For other people, it's just like, oh yeah, we signed up for this at some point and we're listed somewhere that we're traveler friendly. But anything you want. Okay. I mean, affiliations are human-made inventions, 100%. There is no blueprint for how an affiliation is supposed to be. Yeah. So this is an open source affiliation that provides you with everything any traditional affiliation will provide you with if you want it. It's just there is no business relationship involved.
So yes. You mentioned this, like you mentioned sexual harassment. You were thinking about that. How many years ago was this now? You were thinking
10 years ago.
About 10 years ago. You were thinking about that, and obviously you've seen what's gone on recently. So that's
briefly read some headlines.
Yeah, that's my gym left the affiliation, but myself and one of my co-hosts had left. I was training at Fight Sports in South Florida, and one of my co-hosts was training at Wagner Roach's VRMA down here in South Florida as well. And we both decided to leave when all of these things started to happen. It just became too much, and we decided that we were going to move on. Luckily, my gym dropped their affiliation, and they decided to move on as well. And I'll get into that. I have some questions about that. But it's funny enough. This stuff this isn't new. The sexual harassment, sexual assaults are not new. And you were thinking about that 10 years ago when you were starting this thing.
Yeah, I think, in general, bad behavior, or just not nice people. But it's always dangerous when there's a power relationship, right? Yeah. When one person wants something from another person, and that's how you build the relationship, That can always be very dangerous. It can also be fine, just no problem. But often if the person in power is not a nice human being, that can turn into a very bad relationship down the way. And we see that in the news now and then. So I said, okay, if this is our chance, this is our one chance to create our own affiliation. I was like, shit, I guess I'm making an affiliation now. Let's try to make it so that we kind of build in some mechanisms that allow people to be free from all this shit, because what is an affiliation even, and why do we need it? Does anyone need an affiliation to wrestle with other adults? It's like, I don't think so. It's not really necessary. It's only because of the power relationships and belt promotions. That's the only thing that keep people in this shit. Just look at any other sport. It's not like there are affiliations in Thai boxing or MMA. It doesn't exist because there are no belt promotions. There's no hierarchy. Anyway, we were talking about the IBJJF. This story kind of leads to it. Yeah. So I thought, okay, sure, anyone can of course compete with me. And I also ran into many people back then who were like, yeah, I would love to do what you do, but my instructor will never let me go train somewhere else. I can't even go to an open mat in town with someone else. I would get kicked out or whatever. It's shit, but I really like the training here, and I want him to give me my purple belt soon, whatever, It's like that's shit, that kind of sucks, because who knows, maybe your next best friend is in the other academy just down the road, who knows who you're going to run into. So I thought, so when people ask me, hey, can I compete on the Globetrotters? I was like, yes, of course, because sure, if I can help to set you free, so to say, from otherwise they would need a business relationship with someone higher in the belt ranking, who can then be in charge of their signatures and all this shit. I was like, yeah, that's silly. Why would you have to hang out with this idiot if you don't actually like the person, but you just do it so you can compete in the IBJJF? That's kind of ridiculous, And he doesn't, and he even tells you as an adult, he tells you as another adult that you what other adults you can go and play with, That's kind of weird.
When you say it like that, it does sound very strange. Oh, yeah. Yes.
Why would you pay another grown-up person to tell you what you're allowed to do? It's like the weirdest thing ever, So I was like, of course you can compete for Globetrotters, because that means you don't have to deal with all that shit. Then your academy suddenly is not required to have a business relationship with some affiliation, where you have to bring in some guy once a year for a seminar and say, oh, professor, you're the one who takes care of my whole life and promotes me and all my students. Thank you for all your effort. And really your real instructor is YouTube and competition, trial and error, right? So that you can put that badge on your gi. It's kind of weird. So I thought, okay, great. That's an opportunity for me to help set people free if they want to, So of course they can compete with Globetrotters, no problem. And that kind of grew over the years. More and more people signed up. And I was like, sure, then there's obviously a lot of critique for this, because it kind of breaks with the traditional assumption of what is an affiliation. People say you can't just have anyone compete for you, because you have to build your team with the right fighters to represent you in competition. And I was like, I couldn't care less. It's not, if they win or lose, it has nothing to do with me. And this is just one private competition, mind you. There are many competitions, obviously. So we signed up a lot of people and helped them compete. Many people were very, very happy, because they didn't have to deal with affiliation bullshit. And that kind of went. And then I think after 5 or 6 years or something, someone wrote on the underground forum, like not even addressing me or anything. It's like just wrote in the topic, "Hey, Christian Graugart, why do you sign up fake purple belts for some shit like that?" Like obviously looking for the drama, which is totally fine. I like to debate online. I have a lot of, I am kind of a coral belt in that. So basically one guy who was a blue belt had always like, Christian Graugart makes fake promotions or something. I was like, what the fuck is this? Okay, so one guy who was a blue belt, he had signed up, said, "Can I compete with you?" "Yeah, sure." "I'm a purple belt." "Okay, whatever." Signed the form. I mean, what happens even? He's just going to lose. It doesn't really, like, it doesn't benefit him or anyone really. And I was like, okay, I guess, okay, this guy was lying. So I just kind of email IBJJF and say, "Hey, you better pull this guy out again." Fine, no big deal. But it's like, "Yeah, you promoted him." I was like, no, there is the line between what is signing a form for someone to compete and what is promoting someone's belt. That line is purposely blurred by the IBJJF and many else, because it's completely not the same thing. You know, it's like, it's two very, very different things. So I just put a signature on a piece of paper so that he could compete in a private competition, one of hundreds of competitions. That does not mean that I'm responsible for his belt level, not whatsoever. So anyway, so I just pulled this guy out again, no big deal. But then I thought, okay, maybe, I don't want to deal with drama, so let's do some background check or something a little bit, So whenever someone asked us, I would have one girl who's working for me who's very, very good. She would like just go on Facebook or Instagram and just check, hey, okay, if you say you're a purple belt, let's just see if you have any pictures of that actually. Like, have you ever competed in that division before? Blah, blah, blah. So she just did like a basic background check, which is already more than any other affiliation in the world you sign up for will ever do. It's not like if you sign up for Checkmat today that they will go and check all of your belts for your students. It doesn't happen. So I thought, okay, but what about black belts? Let's maybe do like a little bit of background check on it just to make sure they're actually black belts. Because suddenly this grew from just me going to Portugal and a few friends to like 300 people signing up. So it's like, okay, so if you're a black belt, you could. What the requirement we then set was that just have 5 other black belts on Facebook messages and confirm that you're a black belt. Just to say like, okay, if 5 black belts who we can see on Facebook, these guys are black belts, you can because people love to put pictures of them doing jiu-jitsu in their profile picture, So if they're black belts, then and they say you're a black belt, then I guess it's okay. We can be fairly sure that you haven't faked five Facebook profiles just to fake your black belt. So that's what we did for a while, and it worked fine. But I pay her time to do it. So I mean, and we don't charge anything. Obviously, the membership and everything is free. So I thought that was a good way to do it. We had like a bunch of people competing. Started to win like a team competition in big tournaments, which is kind of weird. Which is like, of course, and people say, "Hey, congratulations, Christian!" And I did like absolutely nothing. There's nothing to do with me, obviously. Anyway, so I thought that is, I think it's good to do a background check. No other affiliation in the world is doing it. But it's kind of a lot of work for her, and I wanted her to spend her time on other things for me. So that's when I kind of started to dream up the idea of Belt Checker, which was like an automated version of basically people vouching for each other. So it's like a self-correcting database of jiu-jitsu practitioners that people can kind of vote for each other. So we say, okay, if you want to be a verified black belt here, you need 10 black belts to vouch for your profile being genuine. And if they do that, then you have temporarily approved your rank there. And so that was like great. I built that when it was kind of locked down, and I spent a lot of time on that. And that was wonderful because it took so much time off from Vara of doing all that manual background checking. And then I announced, hey, from now on, if you want to compete for Globetrotters, obviously anybody's welcome because it's an open affiliation. It's like any other affiliation. There's just no money involved. All you need to do from now on is that you just need a verified profile on Belt Checker, because then we know kind of that, then we can keep track of people being legitimate. And apart from that, just message us and we'll be happy to let you compete for Globetrotters. And then only a few days later, I got an email from IBJJF and they said like, hey, we hear that you are signing forms for people who are not your students, and therefore you are now banned forever. And that was pretty much it.
Wow.
So I mean, that argument obviously doesn't hold water, because if you sign up for an academy for any affiliation in the world right now, then even though there's some professor at the top, I don't know, I don't even know who runs affiliations today. Let's say CheckMat. Let's say you sign up an academy for CheckMat. Then you need, is it the Vieira brothers or something, to sign the forms for your students? But it's not like your students train with them at all. Maybe they see them at a seminar once a year. I am very sure that they cannot. If they see the name, they cannot point out who that is on the mat.
Or vouch for their jiu-jitsu at all. Not at all. Not at all. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
I understand that there is kind of an urge to hold on to that kind of traditional power relationship between, we have the professors here, and then this under professors, and then the students, like they want to hold on to that power structure. And Belt Checker breaks that like with a nuclear bomb. And also Globetrotters does the same, because we offer pretty much a backdoor to competing with the IBJJF and also to the affiliation business. That's a free alternative to what is other people's business model. And I can totally see that must be damn annoying, but it's also just evolution. Some people thought it was annoying when they invented the car, because they couldn't ride their horses anymore. It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. Christian, give me 1 second. I want to do some shout outs here just to some of our sponsors, and we're going to jump right in. Special shout out here to DD214 Fightwear at DD214_Fightwear. Gear for the war on PTSD. Get 15% off your online order at DD214BJJ.com with code JJD. Another huge shout out to Flow and Roll at Flow_N_Roll on Instagram.
Wearing the shirt.
I got Fight Back today. We're getting 40% off for the entire month of November. Your online t-shirt, rash guard, key orders with code JJD at flowandroll.com. Also check out their Instagram for their custom academy gis and no-gi kits. Check out our newest sponsor, Feito IT and AV. They specialize in commercial and residential automation, security cameras, CCTV. Check out their website at feitoitav.com and let them know the dummy sent you. Okay, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share wherever you're watching or listening. If you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to click the bell and get notifications every time we launch a new episode. All right, that's it. So,
hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you're enjoying the show, please help us thank our sponsor at Fightback CBD. We couldn't do this without them. Head over to their website at fightbackcbd.com. Check out their growing line of CBD products and find the solution that's right for you. That's fightbackcbd.com, and get 20% off your purchase with discount code JJD. Also, check them out on social media at FightbackCBD. Now back to the show.
So Christian, let's go back into one of the things. I was listening to one of your podcast. You were doing a podcast, Pirate Radio. What's the official name?
Yeah.
The BJJ Globetrotters. I was listening to. It was I think it was March 20th, 2020. I forget his last name with Ben. You were on the beach.
Westridge.
You were on the beach with Paul McCartney. And a naked guy.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you guys were talking a little bit about kind of the business side of this. I mean, look, what we're saying here is that a lot of this comes down to money. You've got to be paying somebody. When you say the relationship, like the relationship between myself and my professor is a business relationship. It's transactional. I am paying him to be a student, and then he gives me my belts. And I love my gym. I say nothing bad about my gym. I love my coaches. But if I stop paying him, I don't get to come in a year and say, hey, I want you to promote me. So in that conversation that you were having with Ben, this is something that I never knew. Essentially, IBJJF is owned by people who either started or own Gracie Baja locations, right? Is that Is that correct?
As far as I know, I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
It's kind of super shady, but I think someone dug into it at some point. It's like,
yeah, I think he looked at the
shady
registrations. Ben said if you look at the registrations in California, everyone that signed off on the corporate documents for IBJJF are Gracie Barra affiliates. So, what if that's true, what effect does that have on the affiliate system and them kind of throwing you out? It's like, this is almost like competition, throwing out the competition, right? Saying you can't be here because you're upsetting the apple cart. Does that bother you? I mean, I get the sense that you're kind of like, as long as I get to do jiu-jitsu, I'm good. But does that piss you off that potentially it's people that are essentially competitors and you're bucking this affiliate system? Does that bother you?
No,
not at all.
Pretty straightforward.
Have you tried to fight that, or you're just like, oh, they threw us out and we'll leave it alone? Do you feel like you want to get back into that, or you're not even worried?
IBJJF is a private for-profit company. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. They make competitions. Then they decided also to pretend like they're a federation who decides things. And they do an amazing job. They do the best competition circuit in the world. They also do the best job at being a jiu-jitsu federation and the best rule set and all this stuff. They do an absolutely amazing job. It's a fascinating business. Hats off for that. But it is a private business. It's not a federation. It's a private business. It's not a governing body or anything. They could do whatever the fuck they want. If they want to kick me out, I was like, whatever. They have a restaurant. I can't eat there anymore. What can I do? I'm not going to stand there in the door and knock you. I want your food. Like, it's like whatever they want, they can kick me out. There are hundreds of other competitions. Unfortunately, they're not as good, but it is what it is. I mean, they can do what they want. I email them back and obviously say, I think this is a bad idea. We have 870 academies involved in this. It's kind of bad, but that number probably makes them happy because all these 870 academies, most of them now need to go back into the traditional affiliation business, which they probably also have. That's their other pocket, but it is what it is. I mean, whatever. I was like, I gamed the system, but the system was stupid already. So I mean, whatever. It's honestly no big deal in a sense. There was maybe 100 people who suddenly had planned to compete in those 6 months, but there was also a pandemic, so they kind of had enough time. They literally only have to find one whatever black belt or something to sign their form, and that there's 1 million black belts in the world, so that should be pretty simple. And it's not like it's something special that I registered Globetrotters with IBJJF. Anyone can do it. It's like you can go and register an academy today for $70 with IBJJF, and you can sign up anyone who you call your students to compete for that academy. Call it BJJ Globetrotters 2 or something. And just do that today. It's nothing special. It's just now they know my name, so I can't do it. But it's very straightforward. And I mean, honestly, whatever, people can compete somewhere else, so they just find someone else to sign their forms. Okay. We had a bunch of black belts who helped sign the forms, and I mean, people just ask them now to do it and not call it Globetrotters. Nobody checks. Yeah. Obviously, nobody checks. I mean, I did it for 8 years, and it wasn't until suddenly I think it became a little bit too big. It annoyed a little bit too much of someone's business that it became relevant to shut it down for them. So, but I mean, no worries. I got plenty of interesting projects that I like to do, and helping people to compete was just one of them. So,
what do you have on tap? Anything that you can talk about? I know I did see one of your videos where you did some speaking at one of your events. Is that something that you still currently do?
Yeah, I do. It's a workshop I do at the camps where I talk about how to create things. I always have a lot of projects, but I just finished 2 really big ones. So now I'm just taking a little break. I did the documentary and the audiobook, which were both the documentary took us almost 3 years and the audiobook took me 10 months. So right now I'm trying not to start something new, but I always have some stuff going on. Yeah. I do a lot of work on Belt Checker as well, so that's still in development. So. Were
you in your earlier years, were you actually a programmer? Did I hear you say that you were a programmer?
Yeah. I worked as a software developer before I ultimately quit and just did the gym full time. So
yeah. And where are you now? Do you live in Denmark?
No,
Or you're in St. Bart?
I left Denmark. I left Denmark 5 years ago, and I live in St. Bart. So.
And how are you the only academy on the island?
It's not my academy. It's just it's like a non-profit community club thing, and I just volunteer to teach there. So people train there for free, and that's it.
So you still get your jiu-jitsu in whenever you want.
Yeah, we do 3 classes a week. I roll with a bunch of friends. I teach because I want to. Nobody pays me anything, and everybody's happy.
And you did have your gym in Denmark. Is that gone, or is that still open?
I believe it's still running. A lot of things changed in 5 years, but we were 2 owners, and I sold off my part a few years before I left. And honestly, I don't really follow it. I'm not sure how it looks today, but I know many of my former students are still training around Copenhagen in different academies, which makes me extremely happy. So
now, are you still, obviously the pandemic, you haven't been able to travel, I would assume, for or at least the way you used to for the last couple of years. Is that going to change for you again? Or as things start to open up again, are you still going to travel? Or is it kind of,
yes,
you're still going to, you're going to go back to normal and doing your seminars and doing your camps?
We've been doing the camps through the entire pandemic.
Oh,
we
really?
were the only ones. We were the only ones doing camps in the pandemic. I can say now I am the #1 camp organizer in pandemics in human history because I'm the only one who ever did it.
He does the impossible.
We pulled it off.
Yeah.
We did half of the camps. We managed to pull off throughout the bad times. At pretty much like half capacity, so we still had some really fun trips. And then like recently they started to come back. I mean, we have everything is sold out this year, and so we've done since the summer, and the rest of the year everything has been sold out, full capacity. And next year we have 14 camps already on the schedule, and I think more than 1,000 people already signed up. So
wow.
So I'm busy. I'm leaving for Arizona on Friday. So
okay. That's for a camp.
Yes.
Oh wow, that's awesome. I would.
Yeah. So I'm
was
going to leave
it difficult?
every month.
I mean, during the pandemic, how difficult was it to get people to come in? I mean, you said those were half capacity.
Oh, you mean like to run large traveling social jiu-jitsu events in a pandemic?
Yes. Where the heck were you able to go? Or were you just completely flying under the radar?
No. We did everything completely by the books. I mean, I would never ever do anything dangerous or break any rules whatsoever. That would only serve badly in the long run, I'm sure.
Yeah.
We did a handful of camps, and it was super fun, and we had a great time, and it was all like very safe. Actually, there were a few infections, but at one camp, but it was like 10 people out of 100. Which is pretty good, given that we all rolled for like 10 hours a day, and we're in like fucking saunas and spas every day. Like, it couldn't be worse. So I in that sense, I would be surprised if no one got infected at any camp. So obviously that would happen. But also, we did the last 5 camps with 900 people, and we had 0 infections. So in that sense, it's been going pretty well. I mean, we take our precautions. People have to be either vaccinated or tested or whatever to participate. At the Euro camps, depending on the country's rules, they would have to, if they're not vaccinated, they would have to test like every 3 days during the week. So, which is easy peasy, they just literally walk in and get like a rapid test, and that's it. So I would say it's been possible. We've been running full force since this summer. As I said, 800 people at camps, week-long camps, and no infections at all. So that's I'm very happy with that. Obviously, I have to take it very seriously with a pandemic like this. I deal with people from all extreme sides of the spectrum of opinions.
Yeah.
Like literally from the most extreme to the most extreme in every end, and everything in between. I have to deal with that. So I obviously it's something that I put a lot of effort into doing right, and also to make sure that everybody feels comfortable and all this stuff. So, but I think it's been going really well. Obviously, I think we're not going to get rid of this virus anytime soon. So it would be stupid of me to guarantee that there will never be anyone infected at a camp again. It would be like guaranteeing that nobody can ever get infected in jiu-jitsu or in a supermarket, because that's what happens. So, but we do our best to minimize risk, and then we take it very seriously. I mean, if obviously if anyone has any sort of symptoms, even a sore throat or whatever, they're not allowed on the mats for the rest of the week. I'll just refund them and send them home or something like that. No, so that's been working really well. And the most important is that people are comfortable, they have a good time, and it works so far so good.
And the camps have become a little bit more of I don't want to say a family affair, but now you're doing. You have kids that are able to, or families can come to the camps, correct? Before the
only
pandemic,
one camp of the year.
One, okay.
Yeah. Only a single camp of the year. I let kids come in. So.
And do you have kids? I think when we first spoke, you mentioned taking care of your kids, and when we were trying to schedule.
I have two boys, 5 and 8. So so we just do one camp of the year where families are welcome. It's because we've been doing a winter camp in Austria in the Alps for 7 years in a row. It's one of my favorite. I really, really like that place, and I'm really good friends with the family that owned the hotel, and we booked the whole place in the winter. And I came in the summer at some point to visit. I was like, "God damn, this is amazing! Let's do something in the summer." And then we also rent the entire hotel, so we have 180 beds. So it's like, okay, so people might as well bring their kids, because it's also like a paradise for kids in the summer in the Alps there. So yeah, that's the only one. No other camp. All other camps are 18 and up. So
do your kids will only travel? Are they doing jiu-jitsu? Number one, and
no,
they're not doing jiu-jitsu. So they're not interested in traveling to those or doing jiu-jitsu. During
they
those
join
camps?
us for that camp. It's like a summer holiday in Austria, and then we'll invite other families. So there's some kids to play with. So
do they not want to train jiu-jitsu, or you just haven't? Do you feel like you want to?
They can ask me if they want.
Yeah.
If they want one day. I mean, they're really young. I don't care. I don't mind. They can do whatever they want as long as they enjoy it. I have just because jiu-jitsu is my interest doesn't mean that it has to be their interest as well.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Whatever they want. They're kind of around it, but they can come and ask me one day if they want to try it. I would never push it. So
yeah,
they're physically active and like move all the time, and they're. As long as they do something that makes them happy, then it does not have to be jiu-jitsu.
That's great.
I know a lot of people who are not interested in jiu-jitsu, so just because they're my kids, they don't need to have to.
I think it just my brain goes right to like, of course his kids must train. He's got they've got to see daddy doing jiu-jitsu and probably want to play around a little bit.
In my old academy, we had more than 10,000 people go through the doors, over the years. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people who have no interest in continuing martial arts. So, I mean, who says that just because they're my kids, they don't have to be interested in that? Yeah. I've been teaching kids classes a lot over the years, like kind of young teenagers, and it's not for everyone. And often it's more for the parents than it is for the kids, and that's never sustainable. So I would never push that.
Gotcha. So are you, outside of the issues with IBJJF, do you have any interest in competing anymore? Do you try to compete, or are you just retired from competing?
If I could, I would compete every weekend, but unfortunately it's not really possible for me. So I think competition is the most healthy thing you can do for yourself.
Yeah.
And for your jiu-jitsu. So there's really literally nothing about competing that's not healthy for you in a sense. So, but I also do 14 camps of the year. I have a little bit of family holiday I would like to do, and there's no competition here. Obviously, we're just 10 people training, so I would have to fly to the US literally just to get a few matches. That's a little bit silly at this point. No, yeah. I competed for 10 years at least, quite a lot, and that was back when I was younger and I had nothing else to do but to just sit in the go train every day. But in my life right now, it's just you cannot do everything. So if ever something pops up, I already jump in. I mean, sometimes at the camps we always do like fun competitions. We don't do jiu-jitsu competitions because it doesn't really work for a camp setting. But we do fun competitions and other things, like we do traditional wrestling styles, or we do surfing competitions, or we do also Icelandic wrestling every year in Iceland, Vikings versus tourists, and I always jump in and all that stuff.
I think I saw one of those. I saw one of those.
Yeah. So I will compete in anything. I think it's fun to compete. I don't have like a winning mentality whatsoever, but I always think it's fun to put myself out into deep water like that a little bit. So it's just in my life I can't do it. If my life ever changes and I have easy access to competitions, I will sign up until I cannot roll anymore. So.
Did you have any major injuries? I think I might have heard you say you had a knee injury at one point.
I have all of them.
Pick one.
I saw a meme that said something like, I went to the doctor and he asked me how much pain I was in. I told him the normal amount, and the doctor said, the normal amount of pain is no pain, is zero. We as jiu-jitsu practitioners, we don't know what that means. There's always something that's hurting. Whether it's your back, your knee.
I would say, in a sense, I have no injuries, but I also have a bunch of small stuff,
Yeah.
Like right now I'm dealing with, I had a lot because I pushed myself a lot over the years. And the definition of an injury is that your body passes its full capacity of like intensity, So there was a point maybe 10 years ago where I changed my training mentality quite a lot. And I decided to never go more than 80% in intensity of number of rounds, number of days I train, and if I can lift 100 kilos, I'll lift 80. And that changed completely, after that, I've done probably 10 years without any major injuries whatsoever. But I still have a bunch of old stuff that's nagging me, like neck and back and knees and stuff. And currently I have a bodybuilding injury, which is kind of cool in a sense, just like a wrist inflammation I had for 2 years that fucks up everything for me in my life.
Oh, boy.
But I was rehabbing my knee and I thought, this is boring. Let me lift weights. I was like, must be wilder, lift more weights every single day. And then, I just got one of those annoying inflammations in my wrist and it just will not go away. It's a fucking nightmare. So it is what it is,
So I see a couple of yoga mats behind you. Is that something that are you actually doing yoga, using them for stretching? Is that a part of your recovery?
This is not my place.
Oh, it's not your place? Okay.
No.
Oh, was this your friend that you were helping move?
No. This is one of my friends. Is his private dojo. I broke into it because he's at work right now.
Okay. All right.
So I just needed a quiet place to record. So I know the door wasn't locked, so I came here to film it.
So I ask a lot of our guests this question, and I kind of feel like I already know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Do you have any regrets as it relates to your jiu-jitsu journey, the way that you've done things?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask me if my curls were natural.
That's my last question.
Regrets, no.
Wouldn't change anything.
Next question.
No. Well, that's good.
I wish I had
good.
never pissed off the IBJJF.
Yeah.
Man, if you can go through life and not have any regrets, you've done something right.
Yeah, man. I think right. you live a life that a lot of us.
You know that truck outside?
Yeah.
I just haven't spray painted it yet to say regrets.
Yeah.
That's
yeah. You definitely, Christian. You live a life that a lot of us would envy. I'm sure you know what you have your own trials and tribulations in your life, but from the outside, I mean, as jiu-jitsu practitioners, we would all love to travel and just do jiu-jitsu. I recently left my full-time job to do, I've owned a marketing company before, so I opened up a small marketing company and am doing the podcast a little, I would call it more full-time. We were doing 2 episodes a month. Now we're doing 4. Hopefully we'll continue to do even more than that. So, everything that I do is related to jiu-jitsu or martial arts in some way. So I'm happy to kind of at 48 go down that road now of really doing what I love and what floats my boat, so to speak.
Right.
So you're locked up.
Just froze. I don't know.
The screen locked up a little bit. I can hear you though.
Same here.
Oh,
Let me just double check if I ran out of data or not. That might be it.
Okay. No
yes. Okay, wait, I'll just recharge it. 1 second. It'll be very quick.
Sure.
I'm on stupid Caribbean internet here. Bye. Okay.
Caribbean internet.
Hold up.
Yeah, man.
It's like once every 2 months I run out of data and then. Okay, I think it should be back in a second. That's it.
Okay, we're gonna wrap up in a couple of minutes anyway, but So let me ask you this question, as this is kind of one of our. It started out as a joke and it's become a little bit. We have an argument about it when I do my roundtables. The big question: do you wash your belt? If no, why?
Yes.
Okay, boom.
Of course. Who the fuck doesn't wash their belt?
A lot of people. You would be surprised.
Team wash your belt.
I've had people stare at me going, "Why would you wash your belt?" It's the best argument that I've heard, and I don't think it's the perfect argument, but the best argument I've heard was, well, you're showing that you're training more. It's fading the belt, so it makes it look like you train more, and people will try to pass, and it makes it look like they've been training more than they actually have to their instructor. But I don't think that's that much of a fair argument. But
I wonder how many
I understand why somebody would say
washing
that.
your underwear, it looks like you're, I don't know.
I've used that same argument. I'm somebody up until my brown belt that I just gotten within the last month. I haven't washed it yet. I usually wash my belt every couple of trainings. Again, it's just like I'd wash my gi. I'm going to wash my belt. I'm going to wash my underwear. I'm going to wash my rash guards. But
you should wash it every time.
I was up until my brown belt. I let some people creep into my brain a little bit, and I think I'm going to push them right back out and go back to washing it. It's just, I think it's disgusting for me, but
it's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah. Especially
I don't
days.
roll with people. I don't roll with people who don't wash their belts. I just tell them straight up, not rolling with you.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
If any other piece of clothes they're wearing that they sweating 5 days a week that they don't wash, if it was socks or like I don't know, wristband or any other thing they're wearing that they never wash, that they sweat in and other people sweat in, of course I'm not going to touch that. That's disgusting.
I had a training partner who at some point I passed his guard and my face was like pointing down towards his knees, and I was just looked at him and said, "What is that smell?" And it turned out he had his knee guards, whatever, his knee pads were
moldy.
We're not being washed. And at the end of practice, his wife trains with the women in our gym, and he said, "Honey, smell this." And he put it in her face. She was just like, it just smelled like almost like dog
she's
urine.
still recovering from that.
Yeah. Well, Christian, listen, I'm going to let you go. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us. Stick around for just a second. But if and when you are ever in Florida, we do love to do our in-studio interviews. We usually have a couple of people do what we call more of a roundtable and just, talk about jiu-jitsu. But if you're ever in the States here in South Florida, we'd love to have you come in, okay? But I definitely appreciate you coming and joining us. Thank you so much.
No, my pleasure.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Hold on one second.
Sorry, it took a year to book it.
No, no worries. It happens. It happens. All right. Awesome. Thank you, Christian, for joining us. Really appreciate that. I'm going to do a little housekeeping, everybody, real quick. Shout out to our Patreon sponsors, including Carlson Gracie Winter Haven in Winter Haven, Florida. Check them out at cgwinterhaven.com, at Carlson Gracie _Winter Haven on Instagram. Also, Carlson Gracie Broward County down here in North Lauderdale. Carlson Gracie BrowardCounty.com, at Carlson Gracie Broward County on Instagram.
Big J.
Yeah, Big J, shout out. Heard from them yesterday.
Oh, really?
Some interesting things going on. We talked about it. We're not going to share with everybody just yet. John Way Martial Arts in Plantation, down here in South Florida. JohnWayMartialArts.com, at John Way Martial Arts on IG. Also, we want to shout out our individual patrons, Jebediah Berra, Robert Walker, Frank House, Boa Athletics. Check them out on IG at BOA_athletics. Michael Pixley Jr., Jason Smiley, CJ Carroll, Mission 22, Chuck Reddoor, and Roberto Santiago. All righty. If you'd like to support the show, visit us on patreon.com/Jiu-Jitsu Dummies. You'll get a shout out just like that at the end of every episode. You're also automatically entered to win up to $100 in Jiu-Jitsu swag every single month. So we put our patrons, our podcast patrons from Patreon, and listeners who send questions or topics for the show, we throw you all into a raffle. We pick a winner every single month, and you can get either some Fight Back CBD, a T-shirt, our podcast tee from either our store or Flow and Roll. Now Flow and Roll is got our T-shirts on their site. Or, sometimes we do a gi, embroidered belts, things our sponsors, contribute to the show. So check us out again, patreon.com/Jiu-Jitsu Dummies. You can check us out at Jiu Jitsu Dummies on IG for all the ways to watch, listen, support, and donate to our scholarship program. We're going to be awarding the one-year scholarships instead of the foundation awarding them, so we're going to do that pretty soon. And, those are going to go to veterans, first responders, their families, and children, so it's going to be really cool. But we're going to take that over from the foundation and do it directly from the podcast. Check out our podcast store at jiujitsudummies.shop. Get 15% off with code JJD. Ranked rash guards, tees, backpacks, coffee mugs, free shipping on orders over $50. Want to thank the We Defy Foundation for their support and all they do for the veteran and jiu-jitsu communities. For those of you who don't already know, they provide therapeutic relief to disabled combat veterans through jiu-jitsu. Check them out at We Defy Foundation on Instagram, and you can donate anytime at wedefyfoundation.org. And last but not least, once again, let's get a clear shot of the shirt. Fight Back CBD. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Justin.
There's all those beautiful products.
Yep. You got the freeze, which I put on my neck again before I came out. I've been putting it on my shoulders as well. Awesome. And I'm still taking the nighttime right at sleepy sleep
Gotta
time.
be careful where you put that stuff.
Yeah. All right. Bath bombs. I haven't tried the bath bombs yet. I've got to try the bath bombs, but currently I use the nighttime and the freeze. Awesome. Cool. Check them out at FightbackCBD on Instagram. You can get 20% off your CBD order at fightbackcbd.com with code JJD. Right. I'm at Uncle Milty on IG. Bo?
Badworks.
At Badworks.
BADWERKS.
There you go. Check us out. Send us a message.
Hey.
Let us know who you want to see on the show. Send us
Flo?
any questions.
Flo?
What's that?
A little flow?
Flow and roll. Oh, yeah. Flow and
Yeah.
we shouted out flow and roll.
Yeah.
Already?
Get the little
Twice?
cutie hat. You can't see that I'm wearing.
Yeah, you
the
can't
big
see it.
Flow and roll shirt.
We
but I
shout
like
out
it.
flow and roll at the beginning, and then now we've been shouting out
This-
that they're also
This
holding
makes me.
our shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you're wearing jiu-jitsu shirts now. You've got to train jiu-jitsu. But we'll
gotta
talk
do
about that on another episode. Thank you for watching and listening, everybody. Appreciate you. Peace, love, jiu-jitsu. Oos.